Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play the entirety of this video without any interruptions, and then I'll go back and talk about things that are going on to better explain what's going on, and talk about things that I think that were done right and or done wrong. Without further ado, here we go.
Hello, I'm Sergeant Andy Williams with the Phoenix Police Department Public Affairs Bureau. The information, audio, video, and pictures you're about to see are intended to provide details as we currently understand them of an officer-involved shooting that occurred on February 11th, 2022. This video may contain strong language as well as graphic images which could be disturbing to some people. Viewer discretion is advised. This incident occurred in the area of 54th Avenue and Elwood Street when a 911 call was made and a man, later identified as 36-year-old Morris Jones, reported his wife had been shot by intruders during a robbery. Officers would later discover Jones had shot and killed his ex-girlfriend, Shatifa Lobley, inside the home. Here's the audio from the 911 call, which was placed at 2:10 a.m. The call appears to be on speakerphone, and two male voices can be heard. One is Jones, and one is victim Lobley's adult brother.
Phoenix 911, where is your emergency?
It's a gunshot wound.
There's a gunshot wound.
Where?
We got an intruder.
We had an intruder.
Is that a house?
Yes.
So you shot
Baby!
an intruder?
Baby, wake up. Wake up, baby.
Hello, is somebody
Wake
there to
up.
talk to me?
Huh?
Who got
Wake
shot?
up. It's a gunshot wound. We had an intruder.
I got that. Can I talk to one person? Who got shot?
My wife.
Who
They
is
came in
the
here trying to
intruder?
rob us. They came in here and robbed us.
Okay, how many were there?
It was three of them.
Did you
They
see
keep
their
it
race,
going.
white, black, Hispanic?
They had masks on. I can't say.
Okay, what kind of, did they all have weapons?
Yes, they are. Baby, baby,
What time
baby.
did they leave?
Don't wake up. Wake up, baby. Wake up. Wake up.
Body-worn cameras are used by all officers assigned to patrol and in several specialty units. Per policy, they are worn at mid-torso level and capture the view of the line of sight from that perspective. It's important to note that the camera lens is fixed and does not capture everything seen or experienced by the officer. When activated, both audio and video turn on. The body-worn camera has a buffer of video without audio for the 30 seconds prior to activation. This feature is designed to capture incidents that happen suddenly where an officer doesn't immediately activate the camera. The Phoenix Police Department does not currently use in-car camera systems. At about 2:15 a.m., the first officer arrived at the house and approached Jones, who was standing in the threshold of the front doorway. Jones waved his arm repeatedly, motioning the officer to come inside while saying, "Come on, come on." When the officer neared the front door, Jones raised a handgun that he had concealed by his side and shot the officer multiple times. The officer turned and ran down the street while notifying other officers he had been shot and needed help.
Come on. Come on. You sucking on our own blood. Come on, bro. Come on.
Who's all in the house?
Huh?
Who's all in the house?
It's me.
Who's you?
No. I've been shot. No.
The next officer on scene arrived just as Jones shot the first officer. The second officer fired his duty weapon at Jones, striking him once as Jones went back into the house and closed the door. The officer activated his body-worn camera after the shooting. The video captured has no audio because it is part of the 30-second buffer. Here's the body-worn camera video from the first officer who fired his duty weapon. Over the next few minutes, multiple officers arrived on scene and set up a perimeter around the house. At about 2:28 a.m., Jones went outside to a small fenced-in side yard area and shot into the air, in the direction of the police helicopter overhead.
I got you. West side.
West side. West side.
At about 2:32 a.m., Jones got into a vehicle in the garage on the backside of the house.
Garage door is opening, guys.
The garage door opened, and Jones tried to drive away. A police vehicle parked at the back of the house prevented Jones from leaving.
Here comes a car.
Squealing can be heard from Jones's vehicle as he drove into the police vehicle. After the unsuccessful attempt to leave, Jones closed the garage door and went back inside the house. At about 2:36 a.m., Lobley's brother came out of the front door holding a baby. Officers did not know this man's involvement in the incident, so they instructed him to put the baby down and walk backwards toward the officers. He followed their directions and was detained. Here's video that was captured by a photographer and later obtained by the Phoenix Police Department. This video provides a much better perspective on this portion of the incident because the related body-worn camera video is obscured or does not clearly depict the incident. As two officers place handcuffs on Lobley's brother, another group of officers move toward the front door of the house to rescue the baby. As the officers reached the front door, Jones shot multiple times, striking several officers. Lobley's brother and several other officers nearby were struck by bullet fragments that ricocheted off the ground. Here's the same event captured on a different officer's body-worn camera.
Hey, come with me. Baby. Door. I got the baby.
During this round of shots, Jones was inside the house at the top of the stairs, which are directly inside the open front door.
I'm shot. Yes.
All right, move. Come on. Go now. Go.
Here's yet another view of the event from the third-party photographer. At about 2:49 a.m., Morris again fired from inside the house. One officer returned fire. That officer's body-worn camera was not activated at that time. Here's the body-worn camera video of an officer who was nearby.
Good?
Yeah.
Is that our car?
No, it's out the front door right now.
Officers from the Special Assignments Unit, or SAU, arrived on scene and developed a plan using armored vehicles and shields to rescue the baby. This occurred at about 3:30 a.m.
I need it. Here, give me the baby. Give me the baby. Go. It's okay.
At about 3:39 a.m., Jones shot at and struck an armored vehicle while SAU officers were inside it, causing damage to one of the tires.
Behind us? There's...
Let's go. I got nothing. Feels good.
Goff, what do you got?
I got nothing. Just through the door.
SAU negotiators had been talking with Jones over the phone in an attempt to get him to come out of the house and surrender. Jones did not stay on the phone. The negotiators sent text messages and left voicemails as well.
Morris, this is the Phoenix Police SWAT team. We are out here. We are trying to save your life. It is very important that I talk to you right now. This is the number you need to call, the number you need to answer.
SAU officers launched gas rounds into the house to encourage Jones to come out. When there was no response, the officers eventually entered the residence and located Jones inside, dead, from an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. They also located the adult female victim, Shatifa Lobley, dead from a gunshot wound. Detectives later determined Jones used a handgun when he shot the officer who initially approached the front door. Each subsequent volley of gunfire from Jones was with a rifle. Both weapons were located inside the home next to Jones' body. The first officer involved in this shooting has been with the department for 15 years and is assigned to the Maryvale Estrella Mountain Precinct. The second officer involved in this shooting has been with the department for 18 years and is assigned to the Central City Precinct. 9 officers were injured by gunfire during this incident. 4 officers received significant injuries. 5 officers received minor injuries. This incident is the subject of both an internal and a criminal investigation, which will be reviewed by the Maricopa County Attorney's Office. Conclusions about whether the actions of the officers are consistent with department policy and the law will not be made until all the facts are known and the investigation is complete.
This video was intended to inform and educate the public about a critical incident in our community. You can learn about the Phoenix Police Department's transparency policy on our website.
All right, let's get into this. So the Phoenix Police initially released the body cam footage from the first officer on scene who got ambushed. And that was all they had initially. And so I, of course, did a video on that. And at time of recording, today is February 26th, that video is still in queue to be released on the page. So after I do this video, I will put it in queue for the same day that that other video is being released. That way people can watch that first video and hear my thoughts on the beginning of it, and then watch this video right after to hear my thoughts on the whole thing. So of course with that first video, this first, what you see down here in the slider right here, that preview, that was all you saw. So it was like not even 2 minutes of video. So I'm going to play that again, even though my other video has it, and we'll watch this.
Come on. Come on. You're sucking on our own blood. Come on, bro. Come on.
Who's all in the house?
Huh?
Who's all in the house?
It's me.
Who's you?
No. I've been shot. No.
So as I said in my earlier video, I had suspected that the other officer was over in here somewhere, and it ended up being correct. He was. This happened super fast, and this officer, his only choice was to tactically retreat the way he did. There's no way he could stand there and engage in a gunfight with that guy when that guy already has a drawn gun and is shooting at him. There's no way you could win that. So he did the right thing and tactically retreated. What I see that is wrong is, of course, officers respond to a call involving gunplay and have neglected to get out with rifles. And I talk about that in almost every damn video of mine. That is a huge problem. Officers go into calls involving guns or weapons and people trying to harm or kill other people, and they neglect to get out with a rifle, and instead they just go up with a pistol. The second officer who was able to return fire, if that officer had had a rifle, I feel strongly that this incident would have ended a lot sooner, and it would not have gone on as long as it did. If the first officer who got out had a rifle and was making the approach with the rifle, then there's, I think, a possibility of a good chance that he could have put rifle hits on this dude and ended it super fast. This guy set up an ambush, And that is happening more and more because of the current nature of the bullshit in this country with the woke liberal left and our coddling and pandering of violent offenders. It's like this country has lost its fucking mind. So this dude, and I forgot his name, Morris Jones. So looking at an article on Heavy.com, Morris Jones was a Crips gang member known as Petey Gunn. And it gets better. Let me scroll down to where it was. He is affiliated with the Crips gang, used the nickname Petey Gunn, and went back to prison for violating probation for using drugs. His criminal history includes a stolen car case, federal gun case, and more. He was accused in Arizona of conspiracy to transport illegal aliens for profit and given 3 years probation in the 2020 case, but was accused of using drugs in 2021 and went back to jail. He was accused in a domestic case in 2021. One federal complaint obtained by Heavy says that Jones, in 2006, led Tulsa police officers on a high-speed pursuit that resulted in a helicopter joining the chase. He was accused of discarding a loaded firearm, resisted officers, and sprayed with pepper spray. He was subsequently arrested for possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, numerous traffic and obstruction violations, as well as 5 misdemeanor warrants. Authorities conducted a search warrant and confiscated a gun and several rounds of ammunition. The complaint says he told authorities he got his nickname Petey Gunn from his grandfather when he was young, and he has always liked and had guns. He said he acquired the guns by trading crackheads for rocks, the document says. The court record said he had a large 107 tattoo on his forearm representing the set of the Hoover Crips gang, of which Jones is documented through the Tulsa Police Department as being a member. ABC 15 talked with LaKenuel Jones, who told the station he's Morris's Jones' brother. LaKenuel Jones said his brother might have been depressed. He should have called and said something to let people know that he felt like this and he was going to do this, LaKenuel Jones told the TV station. A woman who identified herself as Morris Jones' mother-in-law but didn't want to give her name also spoke with ABC 15. My son-in-law was full of anguish, anxiety, stress, and something in his mind just snapped. The following week, he had an appointment to address that, but that appointment didn't happen. Phoenix Police Chief Jerry Williams said during a February 11 press briefing that the mass shooting of police officers is an example the dangers our officers face every day. If I seem upset, I am, she said. This is senseless. It doesn't need to happen. It continues to happen over and over again. According to Chief Williams, one of the officers was seriously hurt but is on the road to recovery. The other officers are recovering from less serious wounds. It's a reminder of how dangerous the profession is. The first officer to be injured was shot multiple times and was injured the most significantly. A baby is safe today because of our Phoenix police officers, Mayor Kate Gallego said at a news conference, according to ABC News. According to a press release from Phoenix police, officers with the department's SWAT unit protected themselves with ballistic shields in order to retrieve the infant baby. So let's get into extra stuff. Blah, 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 blah. The baby's parents are believed to be Morris Jones and his ex-girlfriend, who both died from gunshot wounds sustained during the February 11 incident. The baby was placed in the custody of Arizona's Department of Child Safety, according to the Arizona Republic. So let's go back up to his criminal background. So he has a criminal history going back for a while. He's affiliated with the street gang. He's been in prison. He got probation and went back to prison for using drugs. Given 3 years probation in the 2020 case. So this case happened in 2020, and he went to prison, but was caught doing drugs in 2021, and he went back to jail. Then he was accused in a domestic case in 2021. So after being released out of prison and being on probation, well, this motherfucker's done been involved in the law 2 times. Why is he still out on probation? Why is he not locked back up for violating probation? Because we give too many chances to these fucking criminals. Too many damn chances. This guy is a shitbag. I'll say that again. This guy is a shitbag. He is a fucking oxygen thief. He has no place on this earth. None. Like, he does not contribute shit to this society. He is a waste. He is obviously a clear and present danger to society. He does not contribute anything good. He takes away from society. But yet, he was given multiple chances over and over and over and over. And what did it lead to? It almost led to him murdering multiple police officers. That's what it led to. It led to him murdering the mother of his child. His child has no parents now. None. Luckily, she's an infant and she's not going to remember any of this traumatic stuff. So at least she's got that going for her. If she goes back to family, if there's any family that will take her, then she's probably going to learn about it at some point. If they tell her, which I'm sure, there's a good possibility for that. They could just tell her, both her parents died in a car wreck or something like that. And she ends up going into the staying in the system and goes up for adoption. And hopefully she's going to have a good chance at life. But it sounds like if this incident had not had happened, then given who her father is and everything, I don't think that there would have been a very high chance of good things happening for her. And that's a common thing. When a father is a shitbag criminal, and they obviously do not have any good morals, they don't make good fathers. Just because they're somewhat still in the picture doesn't mean they're doing the right things they should be doing as a father. Setting a good example, being a good role model, instilling the correct things into a child and their upbringing. And there's something about a father that determines how a kid is going to turn out. And I have seen this time and time again. When you look at offenders, especially juvenile offenders, you will see a pattern. They mostly either A, don't have any fathers in their lives at all, or the fathers who are in their lives are shitbags. And they're just a biological father, basically. They're no real father. Or they're being raised by their grandparents. that is, and I'm not saying every single person who's involved in the criminal justice system is like that, but an overwhelming majority of them, quote unquote, fit that profile. There's no father figure in the life, or if there is a biological father in their life and they're around, they're not doing fatherly things. They're not projecting goodness onto the kid. They're projecting their hood rat bullshit onto the kid, and then that's what the kid takes to. Obviously don't know anything about the mom. Can't say anything to her. But there's, like I said, there's something about a father that determines whether or not someone's going to turn out good. For boys who don't have a strong father figure in their life growing up, they're out of control. Way out of control. When mama alone is just trying to raise them, at a young age, mama's no means no, and it stays like that. Once they get to a certain age and a certain size, mama's no doesn't hold any weight anymore. They can defy mama. And if mama's working and having to spend all her time at work because labor laws suck ass and rent's super expensive, etc., then she's never home to raise her child correctly. And in urban environments, when there's so many other people like this, the kids hang out with other kids and they have no real role models to guide them and to look up to. And they predominantly end up listening to hip-hop music, rap music. Those become their idols. Those become their role models. And those are shit fucking role models. They really are. Like, why do you want a person who glorifies gang life and murdering and raping and selling drugs being the role model? It don't work. And so it's a vicious cycle. So for the boys, they get out of control and they start running with the other boys and they have no good morals. No one got them the right way. They start looking to the wrong role models and they get in this lifestyle. For the girls, they can start to get out of control and everything, but then you start seeing a lot of promiscuity with the females. There's something about a dad that can keep a girl grounded. If a girl comes up in life and she has a good father in her life, then that girl's going to typically have a good solid head on her shoulders. If she grows up without a father in her life, there's going to be daddy issues. And she's going to adopt the label of being a whore. That's the cold hard truth about it. So there's something about a dad, and I don't know what it is. I don't have enough background in psychology or anything like that to be able to definitively pinpoint exactly what it is about a father that makes or breaks a person. But I can tell you from my experience in dealing with all kinds of offenders that the overwhelming majority of them, the real bad ones, there's no father in their life. And if there is a biological father, they're a shitbag.
The next officer on scene arrived just as Jones shot the first officer. The second officer fired his duty weapon at Jones, striking him once as Jones went back into the house and closed the door. At Jones, striking him once as Jones went back.
So he's retreating in through his door and he's firing his pistol. So one, this is a decent distance. This is not a typical handgun engagement distance. Usually handgun engagements are a little bit closer than this. So he gets one hit in. He fires multiple rounds, but he only hits them once. And Part of the issue with this, as far as accuracy goes, is the fact that he's using a pistol. Pistols just aren't accurate at distances. Yes, under nice golf course conditions and competition shooting, you can make 50-yard hits on pistol using target sights and stuff. But for fighting purposes, it's not common for these distances to be involved and for accurate hits to be made at distances. So he got one lucky hit in. If he had had a rifle out at the beginning, because he's responding to a call where there's been gunplay, if he had his rifle out and was making the approach, he would have been able to deliver more accurate fire on target and probably could have ended the situation before it went any further than what it did. As he's closing the door, he's continuing to fire. If he had a rifle, he for sure would have had those rifle rounds go through that door and cause further incapacitating damage to this guy.
Back into the house and closed the door. The officer activated his body-worn camera after the shooting. The video-worn camera video from the first officer who fired his duty weapon. Over the next few minutes, multiple officers arrived on scene and set up a perimeter small
I got you.
head.
I got you. West side.
Vehicle in the garage on the backside of the house.
Garage door is opening, guys.
The garage door opened and Jones tried to drive away.
So it seems like they pre-planned and placed this vehicle at the rear of the apartment complex to be able to block him in. That's good. That was good forward thinking. If that's what happened, it could just be by happenstance that someone parked the car right there. I don't know. I would like to think that they had pre-planned it. But in any event, this guy is trying to now flee the scene. And it's good that this vehicle is there to block his movement. Because if this had gone mobile, whew, man, more people would have been in danger.
A police vehicle parked at the back of the house prevented Jones from leaving.
Here comes a car.
Squealing can be heard from Jones's vehicle as he drove into the police vehicle.
So, obviously this guy doesn't know anything about vehicle tactics or anything like that. There's some gappage right there. Like you see his vehicle ease out of the garage and then he goes into the squad car and starts hitting it, but it doesn't go anywhere. If he would have backed his vehicle up to the furthest most point that he could have got in that garage and then punched it and hit that squad vehicle with more momentum, there's a good chance that he could have moved that squad car out of the way enough, or at least move it back up again and do the same thing again and get enough of a purchase point to move this vehicle out of the way and get out of there. So if they did park their vehicle there intentionally to be able to block him in, then they should have parked a lot closer. The shorter the gap that you can make between two vehicles, the least likely one of the vehicles will be able to move the other out of the way. When there's a large enough gap between them and one vehicle is able to build up the momentum, it can strike the other vehicle and push it out of the way. So they should have, like I said, if they had intentionally parked this vehicle right there with the intentions of blocking the garage or whatever, they should have pulled up practically right up onto the door itself and got as close as they could and blocked that to be able to minimize the space there, close the gap. But luckily, this guy was unable to succeed and get out. If he had, more people would have been in danger.
Back inside the house. Officers did not know this man's involvement in the incident, so they instructed him to put the baby down and walk backwards toward the officers. He followed their direction, at about 2:36 a.m., Lobley's garage door and went back inside the house. At about 2:36 a.m., Lobley's brother came out of the front door holding a baby. Officers did not know this man's involvement in the incident, so they instructed him to put the baby down and walk backwards toward the officers. He followed their directions and was detained. Here's video that was captured by a photographer and later obtained by the Phoenix Police Department. Here's video that was captured. He followed their directions and...
So this open doorway right here, he's carrying a baby. I think at most he should have been told to drop the bag, but give him verbal commands to continue on with the baby and at least get the baby further away from that choke point, that fatal funnel. I don't think it was a good idea to tell him to drop the baby right there in the door frame. Tactically, it would have been better to allow him to continue to hold the baby and get the baby some distance away from that door and then have him put the baby down.
Was detained. Here's video that was captured by a photographer and later obtained by the Phoenix Police Department. This video provides a much better perspective.
Now, I'm not sure what this smoke is up here. I want to say it was later that they talked about firing tear gas and stuff in there, so I'm not sure if it's chemical munitions in here or if dude's token up for the last time or not. I don't know what this is. It could be gun smoke lingering in there. I don't think so. I think it would have obviously dissipated a lot sooner than this. So, it could be some type of cigarette smoke, whether it's tobacco or marijuana. Or some of the timeline could be slightly off and they could have fired a chemical munition there. I'm not really sure what's going on with it.
On this portion of the incident, because the related body-worn camera video is obscured or does not clearly depict the incident. Two officers place handcuffs on Lobley's brother. Another group of officers move toward the front door of the house to rescue the baby. As the officers reach the front door, Jones shot multiple times, striking several officers. Lobley's brother and several other officers nearby were struck by bullet fragments on the officer's body-worn camera.
Hey, come with me. Baby, door. I got the baby.
During this round of shots, Jones was inside the house at the top of the stairs, which are directly inside the open front door.
I got the baby.
So it says he was at the top of the stairs. So I'm assuming that this is what is being referred to. He's at the very top of the stairs here. And so probably when he sees this officer starting to come in, this is the ambush point for him.
During this round of shots, Jones was inside the house at the top of the stairs, which are directly inside the open front door. Top of the
Door. Hey, come with me. Baby, door. I got the baby.
During this round of shots, Jones was inside the house.
Door.
His baby His own daughter is in front of this door.
I got the baby.
Right down here is where his baby's at. And then this sick son of a bitch starts shooting. His baby is in range of his gun. His baby is where the bullets are fucking landing. Like, that's how much of a piece of shit motherfucker this is, that he would shoot at his own daughter.
I got the baby.
During this round of shots, Jones was inside the house at the top of the stairs, which are directly inside the open front door.
I'm shot. Yes.
All right, move. Come on. Go now. Go.
Here's yet another view of the event.
So you have a whole group of officers here. You got 1, 2, 3, and then about 4-ish right there. So they're starting to go into this doorway here, and it's an ambush.
From the third-party photographer.
Again, the baby is right there. So if you go in through this front door, the stairs are probably starting about right in here. So he's probably somewhere right in here firing down at these officers. The fact that I just... fuck this guy. I hope he fucking suffered when he died, putting his own baby girl at risk like that. So the officers have obviously no choice but to retreat from this position. This is not a good place for them to be at. This is a kill zone. This is a choke point. It's going to be extremely difficult for anyone to go through this opening when he is set up with his rifle pointing down on it. It's a non-viable option at this point. It's a death wish trying to go through here. So they have no choice but to tactically retreat, and unfortunately the baby's still there.
At about 2:49 a.m., Morris again fired from inside the house. One officer returned fire. That officer's body-worn camera was not activated at that time. Here's the body-worn camera video of an officer who was nearby.
Good?
Yeah.
Is that our car?
No, they're out the front door right now. No, they're out the front door right now.
Officers from the Special Assignments Unit, or SAU, arrived on scene and developed a plan using armored vehicles and shields to rescue the baby. This occurred at about 3:30 a.m.
I need it. Here, give me the baby. Give me the baby.
Go, 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 go.
Here, give me the baby. Give me the baby.
Go, 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 go.
Give me the baby.
Yeah.
I need it.
And so they have shields that they're utilizing. In some of the other Houston videos that I've seen, I'm sorry, not Houston videos. In some of these other videos that I've seen, some of these officers have body shields to be able to use. And between all the officers, all the patrol officers who had been there initially, I would think there could have been a possibility that at least there was one shield in between all of them. And it wasn't utilized. And the only time shields came into play is when the special team comes out to play. Obviously, this is a appropriate use of a shield. First person goes in, and they can set that shield up and be able to block incoming rounds so that the people behind them aren't getting hit, and obviously that person who's holding it is not getting hit. They make that approach. They retrieve the baby.
Here, give me the baby. Give me the baby.
Go, go, go.
And then they themselves retreat away from the door instead of pushing in and going into the house.
At about 3:39 a.m., Jones shot at and struck an armored vehicle while SAU officers were inside it, causing damage to one of the tires.
Behind us? There's...
I got nothing. Feels good.
Goff, what do you got?
I got nothing. Just through the door.
SAU negotiators had been talking with Jones over the phone in an attempt to get him to come out of the house and surrender. Jones did not stay on the
Morris, this is life. Call the
house to encourage Jones to come out. SAU officers launched gas rounds into the house to encourage Jones to come out. When there was no response, the officers eventually entered the residence and located Jones inside, dead, from an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. They also located the adult female victim, Chatifa Lobley, dead from a gunshot wound. Detectives later determined Jones used a handgun when he shot the officer who initiated a rifle. Both weapons were located.
So this guy is a convicted felon. He can't go to a gun store and buy this stuff. Where did he get these at? Well, criminals can get these things either A, by stealing them, which occurs a lot, or they will buy them from someone else who has stolen them, or they will have a family member who doesn't have a felony conviction that would prevent them from being able to go purchase a firearm legally. And that family member or friend goes and purchases that gun for them, and they just give it to them. And then, of course, depending on the state and location, there is private-to-private sale. So what people talk about, the loophole, yeah, that is one way that he could have got this. He could have got on Facebook Marketplace or something like that and met up with someone, and they have no knowledge of him being a felon whatsoever and decided to sell it to him. That possibility exists. However, the most likely things that occur, the things that occur the most, are they steal them, or they buy them from people who steal them, or they have a friend or family member who doesn't have a conviction who's able to go make an illegal straw purchase where they go buy the gun and give it to them. People want to complain about the loophole, being able to do private-to-private sales. If the system that is used for gun dealers could be opened up and be allowed to be used by just regular people, then regular people could conduct background checks before they ever decide to sell to a person. If the NICS system could be accessed by a regular person who works in a factory or something, and they bought a gun and they don't like it, and they want to sell it to someone, if that person could call the NICS hotline and give this other person's date of birth, name, social security number, all that stuff, and then they do the check, and they come back and say, yeah, you're good to proceed for that sale, well, then that's a win for the rest of the community, because good people would be knowing that they're not selling a gun to a person who's not supposed to have one. But we don't allow this to happen. The only people who can call the NICS or submit NICS checks are federal firearms licensed dealers. And that's wrong in my opinion. I think it should be opened up for everyone to be able to utilize. As far as the straw purchasing stuff goes, so just like I talked about this dude's criminal background and how slapped on the wrist and given chance after chance. When it comes to straw purchases, those illegal acts, same shit applies for people who do that. They end up getting a slap on the wrist. If we could get good federal convictions on these people who go and conduct straw purchases, people would be a lot less fucking inclined to go help out their thug family member or their thug friend. If they know that they can get 10 years flat for doing an illegal straw purchase, and there is no fucking probation and parole with that, with the federal government, if they know going into it, they get 10 years flat, can't do shit to get out any sooner than 10 years. Like, you are stuck for 10 years. Fuck your good behavior. Fuck your programs. Like 10 years solid. That's what you have to do. If people knew for sure that was the consequence, well, hell, they'd be less likely to go do the damn thing, right? So if we could get the ATF to go after the actual real criminals instead of fucking with law-abiding people and making stupid-ass decisions over pistol braces, then we could help put a stop to these street thugs getting a hold of guns. So as far as the street thugs stealing the guns or buying them from people who have stolen them, we have to go into how are they stealing these guns? Well, I seriously doubt that if this handgun, and I have no idea if these guns are stolen or not, but let's say this handgun right here, let's say it was stolen. I would seriously doubt that this gun was stolen off of a person who was wearing it. They had it in a holster on their belt. I seriously doubt that. The most likely thing is the person who owned this gun, who bought it lawfully, they most likely left it unsecured somewhere, either in their car or at home. They left it unlocked. They left it out in the open somewhere so that when they were gone at work or out at the restaurant eating or out with a date or something like that, whatever, this gun was left unattended and unsecured and no one was there to protect it. And then the criminal was able to break into the house and take it with no problem, or they was able to break into the car and open the center console that doesn't even have a lock on it and see a gun sitting there and then take it. Hell, some of them don't even have to break into the car because people leave their damn cars unlocked with a gun in the middle console that doesn't even lock. Like, when you make it that easy for these criminals to get a hold of your stuff and steal things from you, it puts the rest of society at risk. It gives the anti-gun crowd more ammo to come after us. It gives the anti-gun crowd more ammo to take our gun rights away. If you can't take your gun to work, I get that. And that's part of the problem right there too. Anti-gun zones. Gun-free zones. Workplaces that have an anti-gun stance and have to force their employees not to be able to bring their gun to work or bring it in with them and wear it. Or have it on them. Have it in a bag. Whatever. That's part of the problem. That needs to go away. Unless it's a jail. Obviously, there's no need for a gun to be inside of a jail. It's just too high of a chance of the prisoners overpowering one guard and taking a gun from them. Same thing with the prison. But let's say a movie theater. Let's say you work at a movie theater, or you work at Walmart, whatever. You work for some company, and that company says you are not allowed to carry a gun. If a company is going to tell someone they can't have a gun on them, then that company should be providing armed security at this location. Because if that company is going to limit and restrict a person's ability to defend themselves against an armed attack or some other deadly physical threat, then that company should be liable. So unless that company can provide armed security to be able to protect the employees, since they're not allowed to carry guns, then that company should be held liable. And it should be illegal for companies to even do that. Tell people they can't protect themselves. Companies should be told and forced to have private security, armed security on site, or the location, the company, the business has to be secured in such a manner that it's almost like an airport. You have one way in, and this one way in, everyone gets fully checked. If a private company can't do that for its employees or its guests, its patrons, then that private company should not be allowed to restrict the ability for people to have self-defense tools. And this is the reason why people are leaving guns in their cars, because they can't take it into the workplace because they'll lose their job. And for those people, you have to ask yourself, allowed versus able. Are you allowed to carry at work? No. Are you able to carry at work? Yes. You are able to take a gun into a gun-free zone just the same as some psychotic fucking killer or some asshole robber would be able to take a gun in there as well. Everyone is able to take a gun into a gun-free zone. The only gun-free zones that you are unable to bring a gun into would be places that have checkpoints where they check people, like an airport, like some federal buildings where you have to go through metal detectors and stuff like that. Some government, other like state and local government buildings like courthouses. Those are the only real, true gun-free zones that you're not as easily able to carry a gun into because it'll be detected, you'll be stopped. And then there's armed people there who, if you try to force your way through, they're going to stop you. And even if you did somehow manage to make it through, there's still going to be armed people there who are going to stop you. So there are very few places who are truly gun-free zones. And even then, they're not actually gun-free because there's still people there with guns. They're just deemed the good guys. So actually, when you think about it, there really is no real true gun-free zone. All these gun-free zones are still going to have guns in them. It's just that the good guys are going to have them. Schools, those aren't real true gun-free zones. Someone can very easily bring a gun into a school. No problem whatsoever. Other government buildings that don't have checkpoints for people to go through very easily carry guns into those. But the people who work in them, they have to live under the fear that if they bring their self-defense tool with them and they get caught, they're going to get fired. And that's going to cause some problems with them. Not going to be able to pay rent, get food, etc. So that's why people keep their guns in their car and they leave them at home. Bullshit gun-free zones and policies. Which is why we need to get rid of those. For the people who decide to take it with them from home and go towards work, but then leave it in the car, if you're going to leave your gun in your car you need to either A, put it in the glove box and lock that glove box. B, get a gun safe, a lockbox that you can put the gun in that can tether to the seat so that you can't take off with the box. Or B, if you don't have a locking glove box or a locking center console, then if you're going to leave the gun in that, then you need to put something on the gun that makes the gun inoperable, like a trigger lock. So the key is to, if you're going to leave the gun in the car, that gun needs to be inaccessible and or inoperable to unauthorized users. If you leave the gun in the center console and the center console doesn't even have a lock on it, you're wrong. Just because you've locked your door doesn't mean someone can't smash the fucking window and unlock the door and then open the center console. If you put it in the glove box and you lock it, you increase the likelihood that someone's going to be unable to get into it. But if you put it in the glove box, but you don't lock it, but you lock your door, same thing. Someone's able to easily break out the window and just open the glove box. If you leave your gun at home, same thing. It needs to be inaccessible or inoperable to unauthorized people. Someone can very easily kick open your door, smash out a side or back window and crawl in through that broken window. Once they're inside, if they see your gun sitting on the nightstand, or they open the nightstand drawer and see the gun sitting in there, well, guess what? It's accessible to them. It's operable to them. If you're going to leave the gun at home, you need to leave it in a safe. It's a lot more difficult for a person to break into a safe and steal your gun. It's more difficult than a person who can easily kick a door open or bust a window and crawl in and open up your nightstand and see a gun laying there. Rifle sitting behind a door or sitting just right inside the closet. Too easy to take. Yeah, sure, you locked your door when you left, but it's too easy to kick a door in. It's too easy. It's not too easy to open a safe. So if you leave your guns at home, they need to be in a safe. If you don't have a safe, you need to make them inoperable. Make it harder for this thing to be used. Put a trigger lock on it or run a cable lock through the thing. Yes, those can still be defeated. But it's not easy to defeat them. It's not quick to defeat them. They're going to have to put some effort into it. The idea is to stop and delay the ability for unauthorized people to get a hold of your guns and put them in the play. The best way to prevent someone from ever stealing your handgun is to carry the damn thing. I guarantee you, if someone comes up to you and they try to steal your gun off of you, it's going to be real difficult for them to do that, especially if you shoot them in the fucking face. Guns that are not under your direct control, i.e. on you or within arm's reach, those guns that are not under those conditions, they need to be secured. If you don't have a gun on you and it's not within hand's reach, it needs to be secured. Made inaccessible or made inoperable. This is how these fuckstick felons are getting these guns and using them against good people. And then when they get these damn guns, the anti-gun crowd has more ammo to come after our rights. Not much else to say about this video. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday Quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense, thank you for watching.